My husband's ex-wife was furious. My stepdaughter called me mum. Posted by Reddit, user Megsa. Okay, so I, 34 female, married the man of my dreams last month. 44 male, and he has a 16-year-old daughter from his prior marriage. I've been in her life, and she's been in mine for 4 years. And I've done my best to be there for her as a friend and a trustworthy adult. And she's a really, really great kid. I felt closer to her than I did any of my sisters. And I could see she looked up to me and trusted me. One more important thing, she's on the autism spectrum. I swear that's relevant, my husband. And I went on our honeymoon for 2 weeks, and then we came back on Friday. And my stepdaughter came up to me and asked if we could talk. And she told me no one had ever been as considerate as I was, learning how to make foods in the exact way she liked them, or as patient with her poor emotional regulation, her words, I think she's doing great. And she told me I overall was her favourite person in her life, so she asked if it was okay to call me Mum. This really, really caught me off guard, and I stopped for a moment to process it, and she got embarrassed and told me she was sorry, and it was stupid. But I told her it wasn't stupid because I would love that she got super excited and hugged me. It was lovely. I was telling my husband about it later, and it suddenly sunk in that I had become somebody's mum. I just stopped and I told him I'm someone's mum, and he asked me if I felt like I was in the delivery room. I laughed at that. But I got so emotionally overwhelmed, I started crying this morning. She came downstairs and said, "Hey, Mum," to me, and it's going to take some getting used to, but holy, that was a great feeling. I still don't believe I've earned the titles, but I'll be damned if I'm not going to try my damn best. So it seems last month I got a husband and a daughter, too. Pretty good deal if you ask me. And now for Ops Update. So I recently made a post talking about how my stepdaughter asked to call me Mom, and it made me really happy. My husband has 2 children from his previous marriage, a 16-year-old autistic daughter and a 26-year-old daughter when they divorced. His ex-wife advocated for custody of the older daughter. Sounds like it was because she was more independent and less work. And he got the youngest one as a result. His younger daughter always felt kind of unloved by her mum and doesn't go too far out of her way to talk to her. So the older daughter finally got a job in her field that she's been fighting for a few years, and she wanted to have a dinner with the family. She seems like a nice girl from the times I've interacted with her, but her mum seems passive, aggressive, and unkind. We all got to the restaurant and sat down, and it was pretty nice and civil. I was sitting next to my stepdaughter, and she was a little overwhelmed because she hadn't been to the restaurant before and didn't know what to order. So we were looking at the menu, and I pointed out a type of pasta that looked similar to something we make at home that she likes. She said, "Thanks, Mum." I guess she said it loud enough that her biological mum heard, because she literally stopped everything and asked, "What did you just say?" My husband and I tried to diffuse the situation, but she was very agitated by it and actually asked why she did it. Their older daughter stepped in and asked if she could tell her mum about her new job, and that got her to move on. Finally, my stepdaughter didn't say much for the rest of the evening, but on the way home she tried to apologize for ruining the evening, to which we told her she didn't. Then, if this wasn't bad enough, both she and my husband received a 4-paragraph long message talking about how disrespectful and egregious it was that she called another woman mum, and how she was very disturbed by it. My husband is just in disbelief and feels horrible for our daughter. LDDR, he went to talk to her and she didn't say much, but she clearly thinks this is all her fault. If anything, it's my fault for not discussing how she should refer to me at the dinner with my husband and then discussing it with her beforehand. I just hate that this woman is upsetting her so much, and I see why my husband divorced her. Thank you for reading. My stepdaughter started calling me Mum, and when her biological mum found out, she was furious and sent her in her dad a 4-paragraph long text message talking about how disrespectful that was. And now our daughter feels awful. Oh, that poor kid. Well, I'm at least glad that she has you and her father in her life. If her mum actually acted like a mother, then this situation wouldn't have happened in the first place. I think that the ex-wife was more jealous about the bond that the two of you have developed rather than the actual name itself, maybe with a little guilt mixed in. And now for today's second story, I caught my girlfriend texting and flirting with her ex, and I don't know what to do, posted by Reddit user Jubis Sam, I-25 male, have been with my girlfriend, 27 female, for a year and a half now, and I need some help on what happened 2 days ago. A bit of background: we met in 2019 at a job we both hated, and we went out on a few dates, but we didn't vibe that much back then, so we decided to stay friends fast forward to 2022. We started talking more and more and meeting more often as friends. Until one day she invited me to her house because she made a nice dinner. I went and I was supposed to have dinner with her and go back home. But since we had a lot of fun, she asked me to spend the night, and because we were both single at the time, we decided to cuddle that night and do nothing sexual. She kept inviting me more often, until one time we did it. We thought it would be best to keep doing it, but only as friends since we both had left a relationship with a partner. We loved, let's call her ex-partner, was a sailor in another country, and she had a thing for shy ships and captains and sailors in general anyway. After a while, we both fell in love with each other, and trust me when I say we were not compatible and had issues, but we always managed to overcome them and move on, and it always made our relationship stronger. She and I always had a common hate for cheaters, and we never even thought that one of us would cheat on the other, because deep down we both believed that if one of us was no longer happy in the relationship, then we would break it off rather than go and cheat. Now on to the reason I'm writing this, my girlfriend and I went to a bar a couple of weeks ago, and we had a blast. One thing that kept bugging me was this moment when she told me that her sister was coming over to her house, and I couldn't come spend the night. But I thought she was joking, so I picked up her phone to read her sister's message, and my girlfriend just jumped out of her seat and grabbed the phone from my hand, and she said that I ruined the joke, and she was going to tell me that her sister is not coming, and she just wanted to laugh about it. I acted like nothing happened, but the way she jumped for her phone shocked me, since she never worries about leaving her phone with me, and we have each other's passwords ever. Since that day at the bar, I had a feeling that something was up, and I had never had any reason to check her phone, so skipping time to last Sunday, and we went out. But we had a fight about my friend. My friend is a 40-plus-year-old man, and she didn't like him for an unrelated reason. But the reason of our fight is because I told her my friend's wife invited me to have dinner with their family. And I said yes. Of course, I'm skipping some details because they are unrelated. But the point is that we didn't talk much that day after the fight, and she asked me to take her home at 9 p.m., which is unusual because we normally stay late. Anyway, on Tuesday, she asked me to come over and spend a couple of days with her since her sister won't be coming anytime soon. I went after work. One important note I forgot to mention is that I work from home from 4:00 p.m. my time to midnight because I work with Americans. And due to time zone difference, I work evening shifts every day. They'd night. I went to her place. She was cold to me. She usually kisses me and hugs me when I enter, but this time she straight up gave me her cheek to kiss, as if I'm an old friend. We watched a movie and went to bed, and we didn't cuddle. Usually when we don't cuddle, we hold each other's hands till we fall asleep. But not this time. I thought it could be because of her period, or maybe she's still mad at me from the Sunday fight the next day, which is Wednesday. I noticed that when she's playing a game on her phone, she would sit straight, but when she is texting, she would face me. I can only see the back of her phone, which I found odd because, again, she never hides anything from me. I work in her living room because she doesn't have an office at home, and I like working and sitting next to her to keep each other company. Now, if you combine that time when she jumped for her phone and the way she was texting and hiding it from me, I knew deep down that I have to check her phone. I waited till I finished work at midnight, and she was preparing dinner for us. She went to the kitchen and left her phone next to me, and I just opened WhatsApp. And the first thing I see is archived conversations on the top with a notification. I open the archived messages and I find a list of conversations, and on top of them is her ex-partner that I mentioned previously before I opened the conversation. I was hoping and praying that it would be some old messages, or maybe he tried to reach out to her, he usually does, and I will talk about it in a bit. I open the conversation and I find hearts and love emojis and flirting. And due to the shock and how I couldn't feel my face, I heard her coming back and I turned the phone screen off without checking everything. I didn't get the chance to see if she sent him nudes, and I didn't read a lot, but I read enough. All I could do is go to the balcony and grab a smoke. And she followed me and noticed that I was not behaving right and kept asking what was wrong. I told her I saw her messages and she just tried to minimize it and simply replied with, "Yeah, so we talked at this point. You can imagine my fury." And I tell her to bring her phone to see what they talked about. She went to the living room to bring her phone, and I noticed she took a minute. I thought she was deleting some messages. But guess what? She did. She deleted the whole conversation. Yes, you read it right. She came back and she tried to switch the blame on me and kept telling me why I checked her phone. If I don't trust her, I tell her to show me the conversation. But as soon as she said she deleted it, I got up and started packing. She realizes that just got real and physically stopped me from leaving and locked the door, started crying and telling me that it was an act of revenge against him. And she was just playing him because when she was with him before me, he broke up with her for another woman. So she said she wanted to get back at him. Somehow she also claims that she was going to tell me eventually. But I don't buy it. I, of course, don't believe this. And I'm a pretty sensitive man, so after the overwhelming emotions, I broke down and cried my eyes out. The one woman I trusted blindly in my whole life betrayed me. I couldn't believe it. She started sobbing and begging me to believe her word after deleting the conversation, since there was no way for me to leave. I went to the bedroom and laid there. Then she followed me and kept holding me from the back, like Big Spoon. At some point, I realized the relationship was over and I just took a shower to leave. But again, she followed me and kept begging me to let her stay, since it may be the last time we shower together. To be honest, I never saw her cry like that before. But deep down, I knew that she only cried and begged because she got caught, and not for any reason, even though she be some old messages, or maybe he tried to reach out to her, he usually does, and I will talk about it in a bit. I open the conversation and I find hearts and love emojis and flirting, and due to the shock and how I couldn't feel my face, I heard her coming back and I turned the phone screen off without checking everything. I didn't get the chance to see if she sent him nudes, and I didn't read a lot, but I read enough. All I could do is go to the balcony and grab a smoke. And she followed me and noticed that I was not behaving right and kept asking what was wrong. I told her I saw her messages and she just tried to minimize it and simply replied with, "Yeah, so we talked at this point. You can imagine my fury." And I tell her to bring her phone to see what they talked about. She went to the living room to bring her phone, and I noticed she took a minute. I thought she was deleting some messages. But guess what? She did. She deleted the whole conversation. Yes, you read it right. She came back and she tried to switch the blame on me and kept telling me why I checked her phone. If I don't trust her, I tell her to show me the conversation. But as soon as she said she deleted it, I got up and started packing. She realizes that just got real and physically stopped me from leaving and locked the door, started crying and telling me that it was an act of revenge against him. And she was just playing him because when she was with him before me, he broke up with her for another woman. So she said she wanted to get back at him. Somehow she also claims that she was going to tell me eventually. But I don't buy it. I, of course, don't believe this. And I'm a pretty sensitive man, so after the overwhelming emotions, I broke down and cried my eyes out. The one woman I trusted blindly in my whole life betrayed me. I couldn't believe it. She started sobbing and begging me to believe her word after deleting the conversation since there was no way for me to leave. I went to the bedroom and laid there. Then she followed me and kept holding me from the back, like Big Spoon. At some point, I realized the relationship was over and I just took a shower to leave. But again, she followed me and kept begging me to let her stay. Since it may be the last time we shower together, to be honest, I never saw her cry like that before. But deep down, I knew that she only cried and begged because she got caught, and not for any reason, even though she told me that she mainly cried because of the way she hurt me. She begged me to stay just the night and leave the next morning, and I decided to stay because I thought she may harm herself in some way now about her ex that I mentioned he keeps trying to connect with her several times. And I told her a long time ago that I can never be comfortable with this. I remember when one of my exes reached out to me on Instagram with a meme and asking me how I've been. I showed it to my girlfriend, we laughed about it, and I blocked that ex on the spot anyways. I tried to break up with her on WhatsApp yesterday, but she started crying and begging, like last time asking me to not throw the relationship away for one mistake. She kept repeating that it was only a mistake and she had no feelings for him and she only loved me. But my trust in her was pretty much gone, and I can't stay with her. She understood and asked for a second chance and to take it slow to rebuild the trust. But honestly, for me, it feels like I will always ask for proof regarding anything she says. If she's going out with friends, I will need proof. If she's going out with her sister, I will need proof. I will need her Instagram password. And to open her WhatsApp on my computer, of course, I'm not going to do all this because I'm not that guy. And I will never be that guy. Because it's not worth it. Now, she kept begging to at least meet this Sunday to talk. But I can't even look at her right now. I even archived our conversation on WhatsApp so that I don't see her profile picture. And remember the terrible feeling and I went through any idea on what I should do now, OP. You already know what to do. But I guess what you're really looking for here is confirmation. So let me tell you, it sounds like that you've already made a decision, and I find it funny that she's accusing you of throwing away the relationship over one mistake. When she was the one who threw it away by cheating, the trust is gone, and there is no way you can come back from that. You will always have doubts, always feel like she's hiding something from you, and the relationship will never be the same. No matter how much you try to fix it, have some self-respect. Gather all of your things and tell her to off after that. Block her everywhere and move on with your life. Good luck. Up.